Today, I will show you the perfect scale workout for beginners that I developed and refined with hundreds of my adult students. It will allow you to quickly play the violin beautifully with only 15 minutes a day, even if you feel like you're not progressing anymore. First, we'll go through the 3 scales you need to master to sound beautiful. Then, we'll see how to practice them the right way to make progress faster than you thought possible. And then I will show you the 3 most common mistakes adult beginners make when practicing scales. Mistakes that could ruin your technique. So first, let us see what is a scale. A scale is just a technical exercise that teaches you how to play the violin. It is 10 times more effective than trying to improve your violin skills by playing pieces. Because with the different scales, you learn the underlying pattern that you find in each and every piece. And that's why today we learn the 3 most important scales. And first we learn the C major common scale. Let me play it for you in quarter note first. So now let us see how to play it. And the first thing we should look at is the finger pattern. That means how we will place the finger on the string. That will be the most important point to play this accurately. So here in C major, we'll have the first finger pattern. That means that the first and second finger will be close to each other the whole time, whereas the second and third finger have an empty space between them, and the same between the third and the fourth finger, like that. And that will stay like this for the 3 scales we'll see today. Now for the common scales, the pattern is pretty simple. You will start from the C, that's the third finger on the G string here. And then you will play one note after another going up. That means I start with the third finger, then I play the D open strings, E first finger, F second finger close to it, G third finger, I have an empty space, A open string, B first finger on the A string, C second finger close to it. Okay? And then you do the same when you come back. But when you come back, instead of using an open string, we'll use a 4th finger. So let's make 2, 1, 4 finger, 3, 2, 1, 4 finger, 3rd finger. So in the second part, I will show you exactly how to practice it, because that's not enough to know which exercise to do. You need really to understand how to practice the right way and which mistakes to avoid. But first, I want to show you the 2 next exercises because they are really important. Most people practice only common scales, and that's not enough. So the second one is a scale of third. Let me play it for you. I wrote those exercises for our students for the level 3 of the Violinacademy. So finger pattern is the same, first and second finger close to each other. Here the difference is in the pattern. Instead of playing each note after another, here we'll play always 2 notes up, 1 note down. You can see that very good in the music sheet. 2 notes up, 1 down, 2 up, 1 down, 2 up, 1 down, and so on. So let me show you. We'll start with the C third finger on the G string. First finger on the D string, E. Open string. Second finger. First finger. Third. Second. Fourth. third, first, open string, second finger. Okay? And then you do the same coming back. 2, 0, 1, 3, 4, 2, 3, 1, 2, 0, 1, 3. Now let us see one arpeggio. Arpeggios are really important because they are some of the most common patterns you will find in your pieces, and they will allow you to really practice a lot string crossing. So let's play it first. Yeah, we only have 4 different notes, but always the same finger pattern, okay? Because the finger pattern always stays the same for one tonality, and here the tonality is C major. So here what changed here again is the pattern itself. So what here we have is that we first play the C, the third finger on the G string. Then we play the first finger on the D string, the E. Third finger, D string. And then the second finger on the A string, that's a C. Okay? And then we come back the same. 2, 3, 1, 3. And now let us see how to practice scales like a pro. Here we will have 2 different phases. The first one I call calibrating, and the second one automating. And those are really important if you want to learn to play the violin beautifully. And if you're an adult beginner, and that's something really important for you to learn the violin the right way, we are organizing a free violin masterclass. You will find the link below this video. So the first part, calibrating, means that before you start playing again and again the same scale, you want to make sure that you are playing every note perfectly with the perfect intonation. For that, what you should avoid at all costs is using a tuner that shows you exactly if the note is right or wrong, or using sticker on the violin to show you where the note should be. Because the only way to play beautifully is to use your ear. And when you use those kind of visual help, you are not listening, you are looking at what you are doing. Instead, there are 2 methods that works very well. The first one is particularly good for beginners. What you will do is just listen to my recordings of the exercise I played with closed eyes, trying to memorize how every note sounds. After you listen to it, keep your eyes closed and try to find every note by ear. Playing very slowly, and then you repeat this process many times. If you are a little bit more advanced, try to listen to the resonance of each note. When you play notes that are the same as your open strings, you will hear a lot of resonance from the note. That means when I, for example, play my G third finger on the D string, because it's the same note as my G open strings, if the note is alright, there will be a lot of resonance coming from the violin. If it's too flat or too sharp, there will be no resonance instead. So I just want to repeat it and listen to that. And this is called the sympathetic resonance principle that you can see here. What happens is just that my G string starts to resonate together with the note I'm playing. That's your violin telling you this is the right notes. When you have finished calibrating, and that could really take 7 to 8 minutes for one exercise, you will start automating. For that, there is 4 distinct steps you should take. The first one is just to define a tempo goal. For most people, I recommend starting at tempo 60. You can show that with a metronome, putting it at 60, but actually 60 is the same as a second. So you could just watch some clock and this will be tempo 60. Then second step is to start playing in half note. Half note means that you will play one note every 2 beats. So for the scales, it would be written like that, and I will be playing it this way. Then, when I can play it well in half note, and that could take a few times, then I want to double the speed by playing it in quarter note instead. That means it will be like that, and I want to make sure that I stay in the exact same tempo. And then, when I can play it a few times perfectly in quarter note, I will play it a few times in eighth notes. But that is the last step. So in half note, we played one note every 2 beats. In quarter note, we played one note per beat. In eighth note, that means that we'll play 2 notes per beat, like that. So the most important thing when you follow this process is that you need to stay in the exact same tempo. Because I see a lot of beginners will do that, but the half note will be too fast because it feels too slow, and so they rush it. And then when they come to the fastest variation in eighth note, they do the opposite, they start playing very slowly. That's why it's very useful to use a metronome, putting it at 60, or just in between to look at the clock. Because a clock is always 60, that's always the tempo you can use for any exercise. And of course, as you become better and better, you could increase the tempo gradually, first to 65, then 70, 75, and so on. But now there's really 3 mistakes you should avoid at all costs while practicing scales. Mistakes number 1 is fast versus slow practice. Most adults practice way too fast. Instead, you really want to focus on practicing very slowly. So here what happens actually when you practice fast. So when I play just... What happens is that I'm playing in autopilot. That means instead of really thinking, I'm just playing. And the issue is that you are really relying on muscle memory to just repeat the same movement. And because it's fast, you don't have the time to really hear what happened. It hides your mistakes. Instead, when you practice very slowly, your brain needs to control every movement. At the same time, you have a lot of time to really listen to what is happening, and that means that you can really optimize every single note. That's why, if you look at the different steps we just did, I said that half of the time should be for the calibrating phase, making sure you play the right notes. That should be done extremely slowly, for example, 8 minutes. Then you could spend 3 minutes playing it in half note, that's very slow either. Then maybe 2 minutes in quarter note, and then for the rest of the time you have, repeating it 1-2 times in eighth note. That means most of the time, I will say 80-90% of the time even, we should practice very slowly. Now, mistake number 2 is quality versus quantity. What happens always when I give multiple exercises to students is that what they really would like to do is just to play all the exercises one after another. Half note, quarter note, eighth note, exercise 2, half note, quarter note, eighth note, exercise 3, and so on. But this is not effective. What you want to do instead is really to focus for 15 minutes on only one exercise. That's meant to build your daily routine. What you should do is just every day practice for 15 minutes one of those exercises. That means 15 minutes long only the common scale, 15 minutes long only the scale of third, or 15 minutes long only the arpeggio. If you try instead to play all 3 exercises in 50 minutes, that will be very ineffective. And if you try to practice the same exercise for 1 hour, you will end up just repeating the same thing over and over, and it will not be efficient anymore. And now let us see the last mistakes that's super important if you want to learn the violin the right way. And if you want to sound beautifully, you need to learn to play the violin the right way. And this is having a bad posture as you are repeating the exercises. So the first thing to check is that you have here the right posture. That means that your hand, your wrist, and your arm should all be aligned, forming one single line. Then, when you play, you want to make sure that your fingers are close to the string. Most adults play like that, with the forefinger very far away, and that's why they always have difficulty playing the fourth finger. Instead, you want to make sure to turn a little bit your arm with this rotation on the left side, so that your forefinger naturally come above the string. And then something super important when you play on multiple strings, like for the different scales we saw today, is that you want to make sure to adjust your arm for every string. That means your elbow should have 4 positions basically. One for the G string, one for the D string, A string, E string. Let me show you from this angle. G string, D, A, E. Because that allows us to keep the same posture and the same hand frame for every single string. Instead, if you do like most beginners, what happens is that they keep the elbow on the arm lock in the same position for every string. And when they need to play the E string, they will bend the wrist like that. And then they want to play the G string, then they will bend the wrist in the other direction like that. This is really bad because now they are 4 different postures with the hand, and it makes it very hard to remember where the right notes are. Instead, keep the same hand frame and move the entire arm to keep your finger aligned above every string. And I know those are a lot of different things, but most of our students are over 50 and they could, with time, master all those things. So I'm sure you could too. And something very important you should check to really master those scales is this video where I teach the only 4 patterns you need to play hundreds of songs.